They say the human mind is the most powerful weapon. But what they don't tell you is that it's also the easiest to control. With the right psychological triggers, you can make someone think, feel, and obey without them ever realizing it. Today, we're diving into the darkest mind control tricks so powerful they've been used to shape history, control entire populations, and break even the strongest wills. Trick number 1, the mental chain. Some chains don't need locks. The strongest ones are inside the mind. If you can make someone believe a certain way of thinking, they'll follow it like an unbreakable rule without ever questioning it, resulting in total obedience. How to use step 1. Control the narrative. Always be the source of truth for them. Guide discussions, provide selective information, and dismiss conflicting viewpoints as unreliable. Step 2. Limit their choices. Instead of giving full freedom, present only 2 or 3 options, all of which ultimately benefit you. This makes them believe they're making their own decision. Step 3. Reinforce with repetition. The more they hear something, the more they believe it. Subtly repeat key ideas until they become common sense in their mind. Step 4. Create emotional anchors. Attach certain behaviors or beliefs to strong emotions like fear, loyalty, and validation. Once emotions are tied to actions, breaking free feels painful. Most people won't even try. Ever heard someone say, "I don't even recognize myself anymore," after leaving a toxic situation? That's because their mind was chained and they didn't even realize it until it was too late. Trick number 2. The reverse extraction. Most people try to dig for information when they want control, but the smartest manipulators, they do the opposite. Instead of extracting information, they feed it, leading their target to confess everything on their own. How to use it. Step 1. Act like you already know the truth. If you act like you already know something, they'll feel pressured to confirm or correct it. Step 2. Drop half-truths and let them fill the gaps. Say something vague but close to reality. The human brain hates missing pieces, so they'll unconsciously fill in the blanks. Step 3. Let them correct you into the truth. Pretend you got something slightly wrong. Most people can't resist correcting false information, so they'll reveal the truth while doing it. For example, instead of asking, "Where were you?" say, "So you were at the cafe all night, right?" If they weren't, they'll rush to correct you, giving away the real answer themselves. Trick number 3, emotional tether trap. Logic doesn't control people, emotions do. And if you can tie someone's emotions to you, they won't just trust you, they'll depend on you. Make them feel things so strongly in your presence that their brain links those emotions directly to you. Once that connection is built, breaking away feels impossible. How to use it. Step 1. Be the source of intense emotion. The brain remembers high emotion moments more than normal ones. If you create emotional highs and lows, you become unforgettable. Like, compliment them, make them feel special, then suddenly act distant, ignore them, or subtly criticize. For example, ever notice how people stay in toxic relationships even when they're miserable? The constant ups and downs create an addiction because the brain craves the highs after the lows. Step 2. Save them from discomfort. People trust the one who makes them feel safe. If you create a problem, then solve it, their mind associates you with relief. Step 3. Make them feel special around you. Make them believe you see something in them that no one else does. This makes them crave your approval. Step 4. Pull away to strengthen the bond. The withdrawal makes attachment stronger. If you suddenly go cold, they'll panic and try to win back your attention. Once someone's emotions are tied to you, their logic shuts down. Even if they realize they're being controlled, they'll still come back, because at that point, it's not a choice, it's an addiction. Trick number 4, identity hijacking. If you control how someone sees themselves, you control everything they do. This trick hijacks a person's identity, making them act exactly how you want. People will go to extreme lengths to stay consistent with who they believe they are. If you can subtly define their identity in a way that benefits you, they will follow that path without question. Here's how to use it. Step 1. Assign a role. Make them believe they are a certain type of person, and they'll work hard to prove it. For example, you've always been someone who sees things logically. Now they'll resist emotional arguments and try to be more logical, which makes them easier to manipulate with facts. Step 2. Label their actions to shape future behavior. Attach an identity to past actions, and they'll subconsciously try to live up to it. Example, if someone did you a small favor, say, "You're such a generous person." Step 3. Use negative identity to trap them. People fear being seen as weak, stupid, or untrustworthy. You can use that fear to steer them. For example, "I know you're not the kind of person who backs down from a challenge. No one wants to admit they're weak, so they'll push forward even if they wouldn't have otherwise." Identity is a prison people build for themselves, and if you hold the key, you don't need force. They will lock themselves inside, thinking it was their idea all along. Trick number 5, the social proof. Humans are wired to copy behavior, especially when uncertain. If everyone around them believes something, they assume it must be true. This trick exploits social proof, making people follow your lead. If people believe a majority supports something, they'll go along even if they don't fully understand why. Plant fake opinions. Before persuading someone, make sure they've heard your idea from multiple sources. The more they hear it, the more real it feels. For example, if you want someone to invest in a project, get several people to casually mention how promising it is. If people think others want something, they'll suddenly want it too. Example, a nightclub owner lets a long line form outside, even when there's space inside. People walking by assume it must be exclusive and want to get in even more. Social proof overrides personal judgment. If enough people act convinced, even the smartest person will follow along. Trick number 6, the reputation gambit. Reputation is a weapon. If you control how people see someone, you control how they treat them. This trick works by shaping a person's reputation in a way that benefits you, either by elevating them or destroying them. People fear losing their reputation more than anything else. If you subtly link their actions to how they are perceived, they will comply without question. People don't verify everything they hear. They believe what's repeated, what's said with confidence. If you can control the story around someone, you control how the world reacts to them. Use this trick for boosting someone. Want a nobody to be respected? Casually mention their impressive experience or connections to the right people. Soon, others will start treating them with more importance. Destroying someone. Plant subtle doubts. For example, "He's great, but I heard he struggles under pressure." Even if there's no proof, people will start seeing cracks where none exist. Example, at work you subtly spread that a colleague is unreliable, not outright lies, just hints like, "He's great, but I'd double-check that report." Soon, people start second-guessing him, and you've just weakened his standing without ever directly attacking him. The key to this trick is subtlety. If you push too hard, people get suspicious. But if you drop small, plausible suggestions over time, people will build the story for you. Trick number 7, manufactured guilt trap. Guilt is a leash that keeps people obedient. But what if you could manufacture that guilt out of thin air? Make someone feel responsible for your emotions, your struggles, even your failures, until they willingly bend to your will, just to ease the invisible weight on their conscience. Humans are wired to seek fairness and avoid being the bad guy. When someone feels guilty, their mind desperately searches for a way to make things right. And if you control the narrative of what's right, you control them. Here's how to use it. Step 1, turn their kindness against them. When they try to establish boundaries, make them feel like they're hurting you. For example, "I guess I was wrong to think you cared." Now, they're on the defensive, scrambling to prove they're a good person. Step 2, bring up past favors. They forgot to repay or moments where they let you down. Even if exaggerated, the weight of doubt will keep them in check. Step 3, make them prove their loyalty. After guilt is planted, offer an escape. It's fine, I'll handle it alone. They'll rush to fix it, overcompensating just to relieve the guilt, doing exactly what you wanted. For example, a manipulative friend might say, "I was really counting on you to be there for me, but I guess I was wrong." Even if you had a valid reason for not showing up, you now feel obligated to go above and beyond next time just to avoid being seen as selfish. These tricks bend perception, emotions, and logic to control minds effortlessly. Once you master them, you won't need force. People will obey willingly. And that was just the beginning. We've barely scratched the surface of what's possible. In part 2, we'll go even deeper. If you want to unlock the full arsenal, make sure you're subscribed with notifications on.